She left me in the backyard like a houseplant. That is what my sister told my mother one night, and I pretended not to hear it from the hallway. My name is Elena, female, 17 years old. My sister, female, 19 years old, is named Anna. She was born with a neuromuscular condition that keeps her in a wheelchair outside of bed and makes her arms stiff and uncooperative. If you were expecting me to be the saint, keep walking. I was the storm. I weaponized silence, unplugged the Wi-Fi, moved the TV remote 2 inches out of reach, left her under the patio umbrella while cicadas rasped like tiny saws. I was tired of the spotlight tilting toward Anna. Doctor's visits, lifts, ramps, pharmaceuticals with names that tasted like metal. I was tired of being the good girl expected to help, so I made sure she noticed the fun I had without her. The movie nights, the milkshakes, the boys who texted me 1,000 emojis. I fed her my life like it was a dessert she could never eat. On the night my mother found Anna saying that line, I closed my door and sat on the floor, knees to my chest, and hated the person I had become. He didn't cheat. He built a double life, is what people say about affairs. Mine wasn't romantic, but it was a betrayal. One half of me the smiling daughter, the other half a quiet tyrant. There's your teaser. I will apologize, and it will change everything, but not the way you think. And before the end, something I find in Anna's dresser will flatten me. That morning, I stood in the kitchen by the window that fogs up when the kettle screams. The smell of burnt toast wandered through the house. Mama, Sophia, 46 years old, was on the phone confirming a specialist appointment 2 towns away. Leave when the traffic opens up, she said. Pack the red cardigan. Anna blinked at me from her chair, soft gray hoodie, one hand crooked at her chest like a question mark. I refilled the dog's bowl just so I would have something to do. She patted the air toward me, trying to catch my eye. Movie later? She asked, her words slanting like they always do, fragile but determined. I have plans, I said. I did not. She nodded anyway, because that is who she is. By lunch, the house had the low hum of the fridge and the clock's click, click, click. I moved past her chair 100 times, pretending to be busy. Then I unplugged the router before we left for the appointment. It was habit. Cruel habit. I do not have excuses, only reasons, and reasons do not make it right. Anna rolled her lips together like she wanted to say something else, but she let Mama wheel her to the car. As the seatbelt clicked, a plastic sound in the afternoon sun, she looked at me with a whole monsoon in those eyes. I let the rain hit the porch and told myself I was dry. At the door, I hesitated, a thin string pulling me back, and then I cut it. When they returned that night, smelling like hospital soap and stale vending machine pretzels, I was waiting in the hallway with a folded apology letter. I opened my mouth, and nothing came out but air. You look like you swallowed the moon, Anna said. Are you mad at me? The words were small. She lifted her chin. You know the answer. And that was the beginning of the end of who I had been. I am not the first younger sibling to curdle. That was what Maya told me after work the next day when we split a greasy box of fries behind the bowling alley that smells permanently like old shoes and cheap cologne. Maya is my friend, 17 years old, soft eyeliner, hard truths. There's the resentment no one names, she said, pushing a fry around the wax paper. Doctor's offices, ramps, schedules that revolve around one person. It eats everyone. It does not excuse you. It explains the shape of the monster. Later, at the coffee shop where I work part-time, a man with kind eyes and a tremor bought a latte and knocked his change across the counter with a shaking hand. His name tag read Alex in faded block letters. He came back when it was slow and asked for hot water to take a pill. Then he told me his story like he was unpacking a backpack full of rocks. Epilepsy at 20. Before that, a clean bill of health, varsity soccer. His older brother, jealous, angry, brittle, pushed him around and called him dropped call when his brain glitched. We never fixed it, Alex said, eyes on the steam. My brother died in a car wreck 3 summers ago. I thought I would be relieved. I was not. I was robbed. Robbed of what? I asked. Of the chance to be decent back to him, he said. Of the apology I should have earned and the forgiveness I should have given. Don't wait for a tragedy to do what you already know you should. He tapped the cup lid, then, like a benediction, love is heavy. Carry it, anyway. On the walk home, the air tasted like cut grass and a storm that could not make up its mind. I passed Mrs. Patel's porch, orange marigolds glowing in their pots, and she called, "Tell your mother the spinach is ready," because everything in our neighborhood is made of small kindnesses I had been ignoring. At home, I stood by Anna's door with the letter again. I had written it on notebook paper, pages torn from my history spiral, blue lines like jail bars. "Dear Anna," it began, "I have been the villain." I knocked. The door opened. She looked pleased, expectant. I had the stage and my mouth was made of cement. I sat on the bed. The memory of Alex's voice, robbed, was a metronome in my skull. I swallowed, muscles tight, tongue heavy. And then I did not read the letter. I slid into space next to her and said, "I am sorry," and my voice cracked open like an egg. "I missed you," Anna whispered, and her arms, awkward, stiff, managed to pull me in. I cried so hard the pillowcase turned cold under my face. The next week, we built a new language out of small things. "Movie?" she asked. "Yes," I said, and we watched a 70s thriller that smelled like dust and film reel heat. A breeze rattled the lemon tree outside, we ate microwave popcorn, and I let her pick the buttery pieces that clung together like cousins. "Music?" she asked, and I queued up songs from before we were born. She swayed her head and hummed something off-key that made me want to buy her every vinyl record in the world. We started going out, just us. The first time, to a matinee, I packed wipes, an extra sweater, a charger, and tried to hide the panic fizzing in my spine. On the sidewalk, the sun was a white coin. A neighbor boy whizzed past on a scooter, rubber wheels squeaking. "Sisters!" he shouted to his friend. The word hit me like a clean breeze. Sisters. In the lobby, a woman stared a beat too long at Anna's chair. I stared back, one eyebrow raised, tried out a new look. Challenge. Anna laughed softly. "You do not have to be my bodyguard," she said. "I do," I said, "because I have experience being your villain." "Then retire," she said, smile tilting. At home, Mama watched us with a hope that buzzed like a street lamp. She had been the Atlas for too long, her shoulders marked with continents. "I want this to last," she said one night, chopping onions for arroz con pollo, the smell hot and sweet. "Do not make me watch it fall apart." "I will not," I said, and I meant it with all the fierce, fresh conviction of someone who has just discovered the sharp edge of their own shame. But conviction is not a plan. We set one. I started doing real care tasks without size as punctuation: bathing, changing, stretching. We made a list taped to the fridge: Monday movies, Wednesday music, Saturday park. Not caregiver and patient. Sisters. I put a sticky note on my mirror that said, "Show up." Still, there were nights I lay awake hearing a chorus of internet voices, some cruel, some kind, from threads I had read in the dark. "You are trash. You can change. You deserve hate. You deserve a second chance." Their voices braided into a rope I tugged on until the fibers burned. Would you forgive someone who bullied you in the past? I kept hearing that question in my head, not from me to her, but from her to me. I did not know the answer yet, and the not knowing gnawed me. One afternoon, halfway through this fragile truce, I found the thing that bent the universe. It was not dramatic, not a thunderclap. I was looking for Band-Aids in Anna's dresser, second drawer, under the socks that never found their mates, and I discovered a folder, thin and blue, labeled in her shaky printing, Elena. Inside were printed emails, some crinkled, some highlighted in yellow like sunlight. The first was to my art teacher, from Anna's account, sent last fall when I had pretended my portfolio was good enough and missed a submission. Anna had written, "Elena pretends she does not care, because caring is dangerous. She needs deadlines. Please extend them. I can help her organize." The teacher's reply, "Of course." There were more. Messages to the school counselor asking about scholarships I had never heard of, a note to a nonprofit about a summer art camp with adaptive buses so I could attend even if Mama needed the car. A letter draft to the admissions office at a state college describing me in words that made my throat ache. Disciplined, clever, kind, even when she pretends not to be. At the bottom, a flash drive taped to an index card, your digital portfolio if you ever grow brave. I put it in my pocket. My hands shook in a small, steady way, like a tremor you notice only when you hold a spoon. I went to Anna's door. She was watching a video, cat in a tiny hat, tinny meowing, head tilted, mouth open like she was about to laugh. "What is this?" I asked, holding up the folder. "Proof," she said. "Of what?" "That you are not the villain," she said. "That I see you." I sat. The room smelled like lavender detergent. Through the window, Mr. Patel was watering his marigolds. From the kitchen, the radio sang something about redemption that would have been corny if I did not need it so much. "Why did you do this?" I asked. "Because we are sisters," she said simply. "Should siblings always stick together?" Her smile was soft, but the question was sharp as a paper cut. I had been the one peeling us apart. I thought of Alex, robbed. I thought of the day I left her under the umbrella, 3 hours of summer afternoon like a punishment carved from light. "I cannot undo it," I said. "Then overdo the opposite," she said. "Flood me with kindness until we both drown." "Flood me with kindness" should be a t-shirt, I said, and she laughed. I memorized the sound. We planned a trip. Nothing exotic. A day in the city, the museum with the giant blue whale, and the cafeteria that sells fries and cardboard boats. I asked Mama for the car, and she handed me the keys like they were a diploma. The morning we left, the dog whined at the door, and the toaster popped on its own, and Anna wore the red cardigan, even though the forecast said 72 and sunny. She said museums are always cold, like churches. On the highway, the sky was a flat, generous blue. In line for tickets, a teenage boy stared at us, the way people sometimes do, that unsettled, curious look that makes you both invisible and famous. I thought of all the times I had set conditions for honest comfort, my mood, my schedule, my appetite, and I felt a flare of protective anger toward the world. "Do not," I heard myself say to the staring boy, my voice low. He looked away. Anna squeezed my hand with her halting grip. "Retired bodyguard," she teased. We stood beneath the whale, and I watched the shadow of that giant body move across her face like a cloud. She whispered facts she had looked up the night before, and I realized she had stayed up late for me, again. At lunch, I cut her sandwich into squares. Too many, tiny as postage stamps. She rolled her eyes. "I can do more than you think," she said. "You can do more than you let yourself." We shared a cup of chocolate pudding that tasted like childhood. On the ride home, the air in the car felt warm and sticky with sun, and Anna hummed along to a throwback song with too much synth. We were a cliché in the best way. That night, Anna fell asleep early, hair splayed on the pillow like punctuation. I went downstairs and printed scholarship applications. I made a plan. Art camp, portfolio, deadlines, miracles. When I came back up, the router lights blinked steady green, for once by my choice. "People are right about a thing," Maya said when I called her from the porch. The splintered wood smelled like rain from the afternoon sprinkle. "People can change. They just have to keep changing." Back upstairs, I watched Anna sleep. Out of nowhere, a swarm of doubts returned, crab-like. Would you forgive a sibling who bullied you as a kid? What if the answer was no? What if she smiled and carried this bruise forever, and I never knew how deep it went? What if I was building a city on quicksand? We had our first argument 2 weeks later, and it mattered because we did not run from it. I was stressed, head buzzing with forms and chores, and Mama was late, and the dog had gotten into the trash and paraded a coffee filter through the living room like it was a trophy. Anna wanted to practice transfers from chair to bed. Independence, she said, is a muscle. And I wanted to finish a sketch before the light changed. I sighed, a big theater sigh, and I saw it hit her like a slap. She set her jaw. "You are not here," she said. "I am literally in the room," I said, defensive and foolish. "You know what I mean," she said. "You are doing the movements. Your heart is somewhere else." I hated that she was right. I hated how quickly the old muscles flexed. "I am trying," I said. "Try better," she said. It hurt because it was true and because it was fair. That night, I went for a walk past the taco truck at the corner, the one that leaks the smell of cumin and lime into the street. And my phone buzzed with a message from Alex. "How is your apology doing?" That is what he wrote. Not, "How are you doing?" How is your apology doing? Like it is a project with a deadline. Like it needs maintenance. I typed, "It is living. Some days it is strong, some days it limps." He sent back a single line. "Then keep carrying it." Back home, I sat at Anna's door, listening to the white noise machine Mama uses so the neighborhood's night chatter does not keep her awake. I knocked once. "Come in," she said. We looked at each other like we were trying to translate a language we used to know. "You were right," I said. "I was here with my hands and somewhere else with my head." Anna nodded. "Do not be perfect," she said. "Be present." A pause. "Do you think parental favoritism leaves scars for life?" I asked, surprising both of us with the question I had not named. How much of my resentment was about the way the house bent toward her? My voice was small. "Because I have some scars. They are not your fault, but they are there." Anna's eyes softened. "Yes," she said, "but they do not have to be the only story." She took a breath that whistled a little. "Please tell me when you feel it. Do not turn it into punishment." We cried, both of us, quiet tears. Then we made hot chocolate in the microwave and added too many marshmallows and watched a cartoon until our faces relaxed into sleep. The worst, most human part of me flared one last time. It was a Sunday. Mama invited my aunt and cousins for dinner. Loud people, generous, the house full of oregano and garlic and laughter. Anna was in the living room with the kids, building a castle out of blocks with slanted towers that looked like our old life. My cousin Pilar, 22 years old and sharp as a thumbnail, leaned in and whispered, "It is good you are helping again. I do not know how your mother does it. I could never trade my life for that." She nodded toward Anna, like she was a chore on a list. I felt a bright, hot anger slice through me, so clean it made me dizzy. "It is not a trade," I said. "It is a person." Pilar smirked. "You used to say the same things," she said. She was not wrong, and that made me hate her a little. Later, after they left, after dishes clattered and the house exhaled, I found Anna in her room with the folder again. My folder. "I have something to add," she said. She handed me a printed email addressed to a summer program director. "My sister Elena is the bravest person I know," it read, "because she tells the truth about herself and changes anyway." "Why does it feel like I do not deserve this?" I asked. "Because you are new at it," she said. "Being decent is a habit. Keep practicing." That night, I dreamed I was in the backyard under the umbrella, and the sky was a huge metal lid slowly closing, and the Wi-Fi lights on the router blinked goodbye, and I woke up with my fists clenched. I crossed the hall and opened Anna's door. She rolled toward me, awake. "Nightmare?" she asked. I nodded. Without a word, she made room, and I climbed in, my cheek against the lavender of her pillow, the clock's soft click keeping time like a heartbeat in the dark. "Promise me one thing," she said. "Anything," I said. "Tell me when you need help," she said. "Do not punish me with your silence." "Deal," I said. We made a new ritual, morning hugs, unhurried, breakfast together, toast with apricot jam and the coffee that smells like dark chocolate when the grinder does, and a question of the day taped to the fridge in neon ink. Some questions were silly. Would you rather fight one pigeon-sized horse or 100 horse-sized pigeons? Some real. One morning I wrote, "Would you forgive your brother or sister for this?" and underlined this twice. Anna read it, tapped the magnet with her finger, looked at me, then nodded, a simple yes. I did not cry. I wanted to, but it felt more important to just sit with the answer like a warmth in my pocket. I took Anna to the park, and we watched Mr. Patel teach his granddaughter to ride a bike, his voice patient as a metronome. The air smelled like soil and something sweet from a nearby food truck. A woman walked by with a dog wearing a ridiculous sweater, and Anna laughed so hard she snorted, which made me laugh harder. It was the orchestra of an ordinary afternoon. A year ago, I would have missed it scrolling through my phone. At the coffee shop, Alex started coming in more. He taught me how to steam milk so the foam looks like a leaf, and told me stories about his brother. Good ones, too, not just the sharp ones. He once sang backup at a karaoke bar in a town we were not supposed to be in, he said, smiling sideways. He was awful. It was glorious. I asked if the guilt had faded. He shrugged. Grief and guilt dance. Some days one leads, some days the other. "Do you think bullies ever truly change?" Maya asked me one night as we closed up. The shop smelled like cinnamon and mop water. She was not accusing me. She was asking the world a question. I thought about my own hands, which had unplugged routers and moved remotes. I thought about the muscle in my chest learning a new rhythm. "I think they can," I said, "but they have to be honest about who they were, and they have to keep choosing." She nodded. We turned the sign to closed. The streetlights clicked on like stars deciding to be helpful. "3 words, Anna told me another morning as we were leaving for physical therapy, sun soft through the kitchen blinds. "What 3? "You were cruel," she said. "Say it sometimes, out loud. It keeps us both honest." "Deal," I said. And I did. And it did. The letter I never read finally found its voice on a Thursday night when Mama had an extra shift and the house felt like an empty ship. I asked Anna if I could try again. No paper, just me. "I said sorry already," I told her, "but I want to say the rest." She nodded, a small, sober ceremony. So I did. I told her the ugly truth, that I used to measure my worth by the attention that bounced off her and landed on me like crumbs, that I turned my kindness into a currency I withheld, that I chose control because I was afraid of mattering less. "I knew what I was doing," I said. "I chose it." Anna listened without interrupting, the dog asleep at her wheels. The fridge hummed. A neighbor's car door slammed outside. "I forgive you," she said when I finished. "No drama, no strings. Not because it was small, because you are here now." We cried. Again. But this time, the crying did not feel like drowning. It felt like rinsing. I kissed her forehead and it tasted like salt. I gave her the flash drive from the folder. "Use it," she said. "Be the artist I wrote those emails for." That night, I submitted my portfolio to the summer program, hands shaking so hard I messed up my username twice. I hit send. The confirmation screen showed a green checkmark that looked like Hope wearing a Halloween costume. "You did it?" Mama asked from the doorway, hair a mess from the wind. I nodded. She wrapped me in a hug that smelled like laundry soap and rain and said, "My girls." The plural was a balm. We made plans, a short trip, just the 2 of us, to the aquarium in the next state when I turn 18 and can rent the adaptive van without borrowing Mama's car. We will eat overpriced pretzels and watch stingrays glide like silk scarves. We will take photos that I will print and tape to every inch of that blue folder until it becomes a collage of our second chance. He didn't cheat. He built a double life, is the line people use for betrayal. And here is my version. I did not cheat. I starved kindness until it almost died. The end of that story is this. I chose to feed it again. And right before sleep took us, Anna said, "One last question," like we were on a podcast only we would ever hear. "Would you ever forgive a bully who apologized?" I nodded. "I already did," she said, and squeezed my hand with that halting, perfect grip.